welcome to each one of you. This is the Naomi Talk Show with yours truly, Liz Kenywa, and kama kawaida, I want to appreciate each one of you that has joined the big family that we've become on this space. I want to assure even those that are coming across our stories for the first time, this is a place where you get stories that inspire you, equip you, and educate you on how you can best do life the way God intended for us. Because God has the manual of how we ought to do life. But at times, we digress, we forget, and we look elsewhere. But I want you to remember that God has a manual of how we ought to do our lives. So today, we are looking at a very interesting topic. So get your notebook, get your pen, get yourself a comfortable seat, pengine some popcorns kidogo, because this is quite informative stuff that we are going to download. We are talking about navigating conflicts in our relationships because we are human beings and God has made us to be very relational. We are not supposed to live in total isolation, even for those who say they are introverts. Somehow, somewhere, somehow, you have relationships either with your siblings, with your in-laws, with your spouse, and we need to know how to manage them, especially when conflicts arise. So we'll be looking at, are conflicts necessary? Are they inevitable? Can you exist on this space without having conflicts? And we have an amazing lady who is going to take us through this discussion. She has a wealth of experience, a wealth of how do I put it, exposure. She's been in marriage for quite some time. We look up to her, how she does life sometimes and marriage, even for some of us. Hello, even if you've been married for some time. So I can assure you she has something for you that you can take home and start implementing and working around, especially when conflicts arise. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Kindly
Thank you
introduce
very much.
yourself.
Yeah, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Agnes Kahero. I am a born-again Christian. I am married to James Kahero, and I'm a mother of 3 sons, Emmanuel, Israel, and Nathaniel. And I have been married for the last 25 years. Actually, it will be 26 in August. And it's been quite a journey. I wouldn't say it has been bliss because I will be lying.
Definitely.
Yeah, there have been ups and downs. But what has made the difference is that we have been able to get to the common ground and to continue with the journey. Yeah, and I am also a counseling psychologist. Counseling psychology is my happy place.
Yes.
Where I talk to people, impact them, and see them turn around. I sleep very well when I see that. I am also in business. I wear many hats.
Yes.
Yeah, I run a moving and storage company called Prolific Movers. Yeah, so I move people from one location to another. Yeah, I think that's quite a bit about me.
That's again.
Yeah.
And we totally appreciate, and you look amazing.
Thank you.
This is how 25 years of marriage you look like.
Oh, and I am turning 50.
Oh, you're
Yeah, so I guess life is just about to start. They said it starts at 40, but I'm thinking it starts at 50. So it's about to start.
So we also want to appreciate the man that has taken care of
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Oh, that one.
Because kama angekuweka stress,
singekuwa hivi.
Ungekuwa hapa na ungekuwa hivi.
Yes.
So it's good to appreciate one James Kahero for the job well done.
I really do
appreciate. We can confirm you've done well. Isiyo ile ya kuambiwa. So we're talking about conflicts. And sometimes people want to bury their heads in the sand, like you come across people doing relationships and they're like, we've never had a conflict for like 3 years in our union. And I like the fact that you've said even in your own marriage, it's not been all rosy. Because that's the beauty of marriage. And you've also said that you've learned how to, navigate through.
Sure.
And that's what we want to learn.
Yes.
So we begin from the place of, do you think, even from your experience, that conflicts are necessary in a relationship?
And before I say whether they are necessary or not, maybe for someone who is wondering, conflict, what is conflict, maybe we can define what conflicts are. And I will say that a conflict is a disagreement or an incompatibility that arises between individuals, between husband and wife, an employer and an employee, a brother, a sister, in any relationship, because of different values or because of different reasons, because human beings are very unique. Each person is very unique. And so what you may consider permissible may be a problem to me. And there a conflict may just arise. That difference, that incompatibility. So that is conflict. And then back to your question, you asked whether
they are necessary in a
whether they are
relationship.
necessary in a relationship.
Because let me explain. The reason why is there's people who think probably when you have conflicts, your relationship is not healthy, it is not good. Is it true or not true? Now, that you are the expert in that field. Are they necessary?
I would say that conflicts are really not bad. They are very necessary. The problem is if the conflicts are not resolved. That's when there is a huge problem. But conflicts are necessary. I consider that they strengthen a relationship. Like when your husband and yourself have experienced that conflict, and then you have sat down and have successfully resolved that conflict. How do you feel?
Happy?
You feel happy, you feel, you not just happy, not that happy, it's happy, feel happy because there is a feeling. It's not only that we have resolved this next, no. It's usually, for me, I feel I have experienced growth. And there is a tighter kind of bond once we have navigated a conflict together. So I would say that conflicts are really important. They are avenues of growth in a relationship.
So why do you say they are important?
Because they make us grow. They are avenues of growth, like I just said. And they test how far you have come. They test your resilience, your tenacity. So they are there to make you grow, to help you grow as an individual, as a couple, they help you grow.
So as you've said from the beginning, when you said what are conflicts, they emerge from even the different viewpoint that we have and all that. So what would you say are some of the major issues that lead to conflicts in a relationship?
Top on my head, I would talk of unmet expectations.
You can dwell there. You can dwell there.
Because like you and I, when we were getting married, I'm sure we had, these expectations, some of them even unrealistic.
Very.
Today, when I think about them, I laugh out loud alone because they were indeed unrealistic. And needless to say, they were never met because they were not even realistic. So as human beings, sometimes we have expectations and the people we expect that they will meet our expectations, they end up not meeting them. And especially in a marriage relationship, it can be such a source of conflict because, for example, let me just pick an example. In a marriage relationship, you're newly married, and as a wife, you're busy in the kitchen, cleaning up, cooking, and your husband is seated with a remote. And you're thinking, hello, am I a worker in this house or what exactly am I? And, you know, when you bring it up, there may probably be an exchange. And it's just because your expectations were not met. And even husbands, they had their own expectations when they were marrying their wives. And sometimes these expectations are not met. So unmet expectations. And then there is poor communication.
Yeah.
You know, communication is the backbone of any relationship. So if you cannot communicate with your spouse or with your sister, your mother, whoever you relate with, if there is poor communication, that is recipe for a conflict. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, like in a family setup, a marriage setup, I will refer to marriage very much.
Yes.
I like the title of your Naomi talk. Whenever I think of Naomi, I think of this mentor of young women, you know, who are aspiring to get married. I don't know. Maybe that's what you had in mind, but that is what is always in my head. Yeah, so like in a marriage setup, and where children have come and we're bringing up children, and my idea, sisi tulilelewa hivi. And then the other person thinks, no, that was wrong. Sisi tulilelewa hivi, and I'm thinking this is the right way to do it. And then you will start conflicting because you are trying to each employ to push their own agenda, and it is not aligning per se, so you end up in a conflict. And of course, sometimes we have differing values. Your values are different from my values. And when I try to employ my values and you try to employ yours, we may end up conflicting because our values are very different. And they are not necessarily bad values that you have or that I have. It's just that they are not just marrying. Yeah. So they can lead to a conflict. And then, like in a marriage setup, finances, a big one. Yeah. You know, there is that interesting saying that your money is our money, but my money is my money.
In fact, there's a song
women who
that says his wallet is our wallet, but my
is mine.
Is mine to keep.
Yeah. Recipe for a conflict. Because you see, when I counsel couples that are intending to get married, I tell them if their money does not marry, there's a problem. There's a problem. It is safer when the money is married, so that his wallet is our wallet and mine is ours. Yeah. That way the conflicts will be reduced or removed. Yeah, there are many things I can point out, but I guess these are some of the most common. Of course, in a marriage setup, there is sex. When men are getting married, I think they think there is sex every day. And then when you start saying you have a headache, conflict begins. Many things.
let me ask a question. Because that is also an unmet
expectation.
Unrealistic expectation.
Yes.
How do people now get to the place of letting the expectations known early enough? At what point? And is it even important to let the expectations known?
It is very important. And you see, I think, Liz, next time you need to call me to talk to people intending to get married or newly married. Communication, we said, is the backbone. Yeah. And if I am there and nimenuna na my unmet expectations, and you do not know, we are not helping anything. But if we enhance communication early enough, such that if I feel that I had this expectation and you have not met it, I have the freedom to sit my spouse down and to tell them, by the way, I feel this and that because I thought this
ABC.
and that, but this is what has been happening. How can we move from here to the next step so that we can be happily ever after? Yeah, communication.
So should it be done while you are outside marriage or when you already get into the marriage space?
I would say both. Because you see, before we get married, there's a lot of counseling, there's a lot of dating and talking. But it is said that the masks fall off once we get in. So if we had done all the talking before, we had done the talking when our masks were on.
Yeah,
But now we are in and the masks are out.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
so we cannot we cannot say we talked then, so we will not talk now. We will have to keep talking,
And refining them.
Let me tell you something. I said I have been married. It will be 26 years next month. Actually, it's next month. So from now on, I will say I'm married 26 years. There are things that I notice with my spouse, and if he hears this, I know he will attest to this. 26 years later, I'm wondering, who are you? You know, because I realize you can never know someone enough.
Exactly.
It's a journey. Marriage is a journey, not a destination. Yeah, so you have to always keep talking, keep knowing each other. And then, you know, people change, yeah? Like, when I think right now of what made me mad 20 years ago.
Exactly.
It's even hilarious. It's funny because I have matured, he has matured, we have matured. Our marriage has come of age. But that does not mean that we reached a point where we are just sliding and greeting people. Hi, we are cool. No, we still have our own conflicts.
Yeah.
But we established communication lines. So we are always talking about our issues and solving conflicts. And there are those where we agree. There are those we agree to disagree.
But honorably.
Honorably.
Thank you.
Yes, we agree to disagree. Yes.
That is very, very important. I hope you're learning something because as she says, yes, conflicts are necessary and actually they are sometimes inevitable, but how you navigate is what makes the whole difference. And as you said, communication. I was reading an article and someone said communication is the oxygen supply to the relationship.
I like that.
So the minute that is choked, your relationship is on the deathbed, going.
True.
Completely going.
Yeah.
So it's either you have to resuscitate it and find the ways of supplying the oxygen back, otherwise it will slowly die.
It will slowly die. And then, especially for those who subscribe, you know the way, because I am born again, I have to marry someone who is born again so that we will know that we have a common ground. So that sa ile kimeumana, we can always go back to the feet of Jesus and say, let's begin from here. And you know, even I have some scriptures that pertain to conflict resolution, like Philippians 2:4. It encourages us to look into each other's interests, not only our own. Yeah. And then Matthew 5:24. It actually says that if you are offering a gift before the altar and you still have an outstanding conflict, leave the gift there. Go and be reconciled and then come back. So I think even God takes conflict very seriously. He wants people to be in harmony, in peace, and in agreement. Yeah.
Wow, I'm loving this. So someone asked me when they heard that I'm bringing you on side, they told me, ask her, are there types or different types of conflicts? Because conflict is just the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But inside there, probably there are different types that can be identified from the eye of a professional. Are there?
I would say yes, there are. Do you know you can be in conflict with yourself? What we call intrapersonal. Intrapersonal. You have your thoughts, your values, your beliefs, you know, and I mean, you get. Do you hear people saying, "I feel very conflicted," because this is what everything within you wants to do, but then again, according to your values and according to your beliefs and all, it's something you know you cannot do. So I would say yes, kuna intrapersonal conflict, yeah. That is a conflict that takes place within yourself, yeah. And then kuna interpersonal. Of course, this one is the one that happens between you and me, between your husband and yourself, between brother, sister. This is the one that happens with an individual and an individual. That is interpersonal. Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest, I think that I can think about are inter-organizational, like at workplace, where you find that the employer and the employee are having issues. Yeah, or an employee and a team member in the organization. Yeah, so those are the three that I can think of. Yeah, I don't know whether that person, the friend you are asking for, has been answered.
So the intra, for me, this is intra. Does it affect the interpersonal?
Yes, I would say it does. Because you see, if I am having intrapersonal conflict, I'm definitely not myself.
Yeah.
And let's go back to a marriage relationship. If I am conflicted about anything, it means that even towards my spouse, something is amiss. Yeah. So I am not giving my 100%.
Yeah.
Because there is something within me that is not okay. Yeah, so
it will affect.
It would affect.
So you need to work on yourself so that you can come into the union as a wholesome human being, because it is not half plus half equals one. It is one plus one equals one.
Plus one.
So polish on yourself, work on yourself.
Yeah.
If you need help, that's why these people are here to help you, you know, unearth some of those things that bring you to the space of having that intrapersonal conflict within yourself.
Very true.
Now, we've already agreed conflicts are necessary. They are also important.
Yeah.
But I'm sure at some point they can bring stress and strain into a relationship. So what is the effect of too much conflict on a relationship?
You just said stress. Yeah. So there will be stress in the relationship. And again, I said earlier that the problem is not even the conflict. The problem is unresolved. Unresolved conflict. Although, again, if you are daily conflicting, then
there's a problem.
I mean, there must be an underlying problem which needs to be investigated and dealt with. Yeah, but when conflict is unresolved, it can lead to stress, it can lead to anxiety, it can lead to insomnia, it can lead to, you know, those headaches, migraines. Yeah? You hear someone is consistently nursing a migraine. And probably when you investigate, you will realize it's because they are nursing a conflict that they have not resolved. So those are some of the manifestations of unresolved conflicts. And I mean, like, you see people who still love each other, they want to forgive and forget, and so sometimes they'll sweep under the carpet. But what happens when you sweep uchafu under the carpet? Someday it will still show up, or it will start stinking. So it will become a problem. Yeah. And of course, there will be decreased intimacy, decreased closeness. Yeah. As opposed to the way we were saying, after you have navigated a conflict, you feel, yeah, we have won. But now, if the conflict is unresolved, you will consistently feel a aloofness, you know, there will be a drift, yeah, and intimacy may be compromised, and all these things, yeah.
So at that point, how much is too much conflict? If we were to ask, how much is
How
too
much
much
is
conflict?
too much conflict? I think if we are conflicting over everything, and you see, I do not think that you wake up one day and you're just conflicting. I think it's something that something happens, and then you realize that either of the parties becomes quite irritable, so that whatever I say or do, and it's not even anything new, probably it's something I've always said and done, but now when you say it, it's irritating me. It means there is a problem. And so the too much conflict, you know, if we are conflicting over everything every day, then we need to check what is the underlying problem, because these conflicts are probably being caused by something that needs to be resolved, so that we know what is this that is manifesting as conflict, and probably it is not conflict. Yeah, so too much conflict would be conflicting over everything, anything and everything, even things you've not conflicted over in the past. Like today, 26 years later, if we start conflicting over parenting,
I'm a toothpaste.
or very basically over toothpaste, it's like, you know, like the way you see a big child playing with a katoika, a big ball. That's how it would look if today my husband and I are conflicting over toothpaste, surely, or we are conflicting over parenting styles. And you see, we have parented, our first son is turning 23, the other one is turning 20, the other one is over 10. So, I mean, we have already established our parenting styles. So if we start conflicting now, it means there is a problem that we need to investigate. Yeah. So if you begin conflicting over things you are not conflicting over before, investigate where the problem is. Yeah. I don't know if I have answered
that. I think that is right.
Yeah.
And back to the unresolved, I like the analogy you gave where you just decide to hide things under the carpet, but eventually the smell can no longer hide, quote unquote, the stuff that is rotting down there. So what happens when you have unresolved conflicts?
When you have unresolved conflicts, you might begin to feel unwell. You might begin to get apart. Like for husband and wife, there are things that may begin to happen that are not good. And that is when you may even start being unfaithful to your spouse. You may begin to present a bad example to the children, if there are children in that relationship, and they are used to a safe and peaceful environment at home. But because the parents have stopped taking care of their conflicts in the right way, and it starts thinking, it will start affecting even the children. And so eventually the whole family becomes affected by the unresolved conflicts. Yeah. and you stop. If you are used to doing things together, like for example, if your finances have always been married and you are used to doing things together, our money, it might get to a point where you are slowly disintegrating and you become secretive, like I get some money from somewhere, and because I feel things are not okay at home, I don't even want to disclose that I have this amount of money, which is our money. So it ends up becoming my money and it's a secret. So it becomes secretive. And by and by, the relationship begins to die down. And not only in a marriage relationship, even like parents, children, brother, sister, sister. So when it is unresolved, or friend to friend, friend to friend, especially. And as I say this, of course, I am thinking of many instances whereby I have had conflicts with friends, especially, and there are times, unfortunately, we've not been able to get to a level ground where we can sit down and talk about the conflicts and resolve them. So what happens? You end up losing the friendship. So it has conflict, and resolved conflicts have grave consequences. So it is better to resolve conflicts. Even the Bible says, I think Paul told the Ephesians that do not let the sun go down. When you are still angry. So I think this letting the sun go down has many, many consequences, not only on a marriage, but on every relationship.
Wow, thank you. I hope you're still learning. Someone mentioned this, that your birth order, firstborn, middle child, lastborn, affects how you resolve conflicts.
Let me say that birth order has a lot to do with an individual, not just conflict. So because like now for a firstborn, firstborns are really, they can be harsh, let me not shout.
Assertive.
Firstborns, very, not even assertive, even aggressive.
Tumetajwa, tumewekelewa.
Wewe ni mmoja wao. And I was whispering. And I was whispering to you so that they don't hear. But anyway, it does, because like first in a scenario like you have 3 children.
Yes.
I have 3 children. Firstborn, secondborn, and thirdborn. So you find that the middle child has pressure from below and from above. So they tend to become very tough. And they may not be, like now my secondborn, he's introverted, but then he has a very quiet strength. You don't mess around with him. Because growing up, he had a lot of pressure from his older brother and now from his younger brother. So I think they get their own coping mechanisms, and so they become very tough. And of course the firstborn out there, deputy parents, and they are thinking that everyone should answer to them. Should do what they need done, like in record time, And so you see that can conflict.
I'm ticking very many boxes.
That will conflict you with your siblings. And they can actually gang against you. They might be doing things without wanting to let you know. And then when you get to know, hiyo ni conflict. Because maybe it's something you ought to have known, and then they have not let you know. And then you will be upset because secondborn, thirdborn, and fourthborn, they decided to conspire against you. And then you will come, you are reporting them to the parents, you are making noise, and then they are angry. They are thinking, whom does she think she is? We have one mother, we have one father.
I have the answer.
She is not the one.
Should they ask me that, I tell them.
You have the answers.
I am the disciplinarian, I am the deputy parent. Mutadu.
And then that will be a conflict because they will tell you, no, you are not. We have one mother. And then you see, a conflict will ensue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course that is for the firstborn and the middle child, and then now the youngest child. Usually, you see, by the time the youngest child is born, to sharp at our experience, we are thinking we got it together, and then
Are you a last born by any chance?
No, almost, but I am not a last born. Yeah, so we find that, like now for my last born, my firstborn and secondborn are always complaining that, hey, ingekuwa ni sisi that time.
Thank you. You've answered my problem.
Yeah, and I
Question to
think,
my problem.
yeah, I think it's because, you see, like for a firstborn, we didn't know, you know, ni trisex, yeah? You learn everything on the job, yeah? And so you might be very tough when you're parenting, or the opposite. Yeah, but I think mostly we become very tough because we have to get it right.
Yeah.
We feel we have to get it right, and so I think we put a lot of pressure on the first child. Then when the second one comes, the third one, for those who go on, for you and I think we can only go up to the third one. That's what we know.
But pia nguvu ya kushinda ukishout hakuna.
Imeisha.
So
yeah.
you watch some things and
so, exactly. And so you see that you are now the one who is being brought conflict by your two older children. They are thinking, why are you so soft on this one? This is not how you dealt with us.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it becomes a conflict.
Of the calf. Just reminded me over the holidays. My son was having a problem with the sisters and he told them, shh, please, me last born. Don't shout at me.
Last born hawatakangi kushautiwa.
I hope they'll learn how to solve conflicts. If the only way is to switch off the fire instead of confronting it. So we need to come up with ways, practical ways that we can help solve conflicts.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tips that you can give that can assist in conflict resolution? First of all, I would say acknowledge the conflict. When we were starting this show, you said kuna watu wanasemanga, us, we have never had a conflict for the last 3 years. Ni uongo. It's not true. Either they are living in denial, or they are just oppressed, you know, because life is such a way that there has to be conflict. They are inevitable.
They are inevitable. Yeah, so acknowledge that there is a conflict. Yeah. Otherwise, when we sweep it under, you know what will happen. So we acknowledge the conflict. I do not like that you said to me this. I wish you would say it differently. And you see what that will do? It will open an avenue for communication so that if there was even a misunderstanding, it is brought to the fore and the conflict is resolved. Yeah. And then define the problem. You see, your friend is not the problem. Your spouse is not the problem. The problem is the problem. Yeah? So define, get to the core and define the problem. Yeah. Otherwise, when you see me as a problem or I see you as a problem, then we actually end up in a bigger problem. And the conflict even becomes even more enormous. Yeah. So define the problem. And when you have defined the problem, meet on a neutral ground. Yeah. We are not here to settle scores. Let's meet on a neutral ground. Yeah, you meet on a neutral ground when you see when, like now the way we are both seated here, if I decide to stand up and talk when I am standing up, even this show will look very absurd. You actually will tell the sound people to cut, you know, because it is not the right channel. So when we sit here, we are we are at the same level, neutral ground. Yeah, and then let everyone have a say. I did not sit you here because we have a conflict to tell you how much I am conflicted or how wounded I am. We sat here so that you can speak out and so that I can speak out. Yeah. So we let everyone have a say whenever there is a conflict. It's not telling me how upset you are or me telling you how upset I am. Yeah, and then we agree on a solution. If there is a problem, we are looking for a solution. And it is not me who is looking for a solution.
Both of you.
It is not you who is looking for a solution. We are looking for a solution together because it is our problem. It is our conflict. Yeah, and then we determine each side's role. What are you gonna do about this problem? And what am I gonna do? What is my role? What is your role? If we have agreed that, let me take again the example of husband and wife. If we have agreed that part of the solution is that we have a sitting, a date, every last Friday of the month or every whenever, yeah? What is my role in planning for that date? Maybe for me, it's getting the date and is getting the venue, and maybe for him, it's paying. You wonder why I didn't say the other. Okay, yeah, mostly tunalipiwa.
That's it.
Yeah, so we agree on what is your role, what is my role in resolving this problem. Yeah, those are the tips I could think of.
So I think this is what but I was also taking notes. Speak it out, define the problem, meet on a neutral ground, let everyone have a say. Then we have to see and seek for solutions. We. Plural. And then map out the way forward.
Yes.
Because then again, if you leave it at any point, you leave things hanging, and unresolved issues will escalate and become dangerous landmines that can explode.
Exactly.
At a certain point when you least expected. So sometimes when you hear people have packed and left, they have not packed and left because of that issue.
Yeah.
You need to go back and realize they have unresolved conflicts, or they never even made the attempt, or they are living the fake life of Atujoi Kosana, we rarely have conflicts. Then one day, the pressure becomes too much, you can no longer hide it, and it explodes. So for us to avoid getting here, it's important to learn how to resolve those conflicts, appreciate that conflicts are inevitable, and as she said, they help the relationship to grow and become better. And that way we'll be able to nurture and cultivate a good union moving together. Hallelujah. Amen. So as we end, I would want to end with this quote that for relationships to work, you have to talk about the good and the bad. You have to build trusts. You have to be honest. And above everything else, you have to make time for each other. Because even like the gardens that we see and we admire them, someone has taken time, taken the trouble to cultivate and to tend to them, for them to manifest in the beauty that they manifest in. So work at it, work on it, and remember, it's the two of you, not one part, that will make it thrive and grow and become stronger. Otherwise, we end it at this point and we say, God bless you. See you next time.